you're in the market for a plug-in hybrid SUV from a premium brand, you do have some options. Well, there's one more option that now you can consider in 2024. Welcome everybody to the Mercedes Benz GLE450e. Yes, this is a plug-in hybrid and it's actually one of the first plug-in hybrids Mercedes Benz has ever made. Let's see how this part electrified luxury SUV is. When you come to the front end of the GLE, I really like the design element. So this has a paid AMG line look, which has the grille and a few more elements like the wheels and the brakes, and it does lend a sporty look, though it's a bit confused because the GLE has always been the executive luxury car, which shows because there's lots of chrome. But the look has also been updated for MY24 with mild alterations in the headlights, and the grille has been made a bit bigger, which I think has helped it look a bit more relevant in today's time because the previous design was looking a bit dated now. But yeah, with this new headlight design, the DRLs, it looks really cool. The pattern is very cool, especially when you light it up at night. The chrome around the grille again looks pretty good, and you've got some nice small design elements in the grille as well. So if you look closely, those are things that really stand out. Another thing that stands out, and I have to mention it, is this paint. It's called emerald green metallic, and most of the time it looks black, which is a bit of a downer. But when the sun hits it right, just the perfect angle, it has that perfect tinge of green, which I really like. And I really appreciate a press car that has a good spec. This is up there in the list, in the top paint shades of press cars. When you come to the side is when you'll notice that AMG line package wheels. These are 21-inch wheels, which are an optional extra. You do have a few options of different wheels you can spec the car with, and these are the wheels which I'm not a big fan of because I like the spokes because it does remind you of the older AMGs, but you've got the side fins around the spokes, which I don't like. You do also have side steps, which are an option, which again are very inconvenient. I'd rather have the car without them because getting in and getting out, your knee always brushes them because they're not too wide enough that you can step on it and climb inside, but it just comes in your way when you want to get in and get out. So I'd rather have them out. Otherwise, it's got the same silhouette that the GLE has always had. You have the very thick C pillar, which is just a common element that it's been carried on from the ML and the previous GLE as well. It just looks so good, and you have some elements of chrome running across the window line as well. What can I say? Mercedes didn't have to tinker too much with the design of the GLE. Just mild refreshments here and there have made sure that this car still looks very young and attractive in today's age. One cool element of the GLE plug-in hybrid is that you have two filler caps in the back. So one side, on this side is for the EV, on that side is for the fuel, for the gas, which is the bonus of any plug-in hybrid and I love the most. No range anxiety problems over here. When you come to the rear also has been updated slightly here and there to make it more relevant for MY24. So the biggest change are these taillights, which are now in the traditional family look of all the Mercedes SUVs like the GLA, GLC. So it's slightly bigger in the GLE, and in fact all the lights on this car now for MY24 are all LED units. No halogen business here at all, which is pretty cool. You do have the GLE450e badge, which is all new and something you wouldn't see in past GLEs, and you have the 4MATIC badging, and you have the classic 3-star logo as well. Overall, it looks good, and Mercedes did not have to tinker too much to make too many radical changes. Just slightly nip and tuck here has made sure that the car still looks pretty relevant. Now inside the GLE, and as you can see, it has the traditional Mercedes SUV look. So these vents are a carryover from the GLS, which is always a good thing. And you have lots of updated Mercedes elements that you would find in all of the latest Mercedes, like the new updated steering wheel, the connected one-screen MBUX infotainment, which is a hit or miss for me because although the screen itself is very good and its touch response is good and you can use the trackpad as well, the ability to do some basic features to change like even a track can get quite confusing, and I'll explain that in a bit. But yeah, otherwise the interior is very nice, and this it's an option, this beige interior with the full leather is actually very nice. You've got the perforated seats, you've got heated and cooled seats, no massage seats, but that's an option which you can obviously spec. And you have this grey wood as well, which looks very good, looks very premium, and it's all over the interior, all over the center console. You do have these grab handles, which is again a very traditional Mercedes GLE thing, which has been there in the older ML days as well. So this is a design element which they have not gotten rid of, and it stands true to the original model. You do have a lot of physical buttons for the HVAC control, which I really like. I don't like changing temperature from the screen, so I really appreciate that Mercedes has stuck to the physical buttons for the things that matter. You do have a host of buttons here as well for the drive modes, the volume, all the stuff, the auto parking and stuff like that. And then press a button here and you can slide this open, and you have access to the wireless charger and 2 cup holders, which are heated and cooled, which is pretty cool as well. You do have the steering wheel, which is all touch haptic buttons, so it can get a bit annoying, especially when you want to change your volume. You have to not press a button, but you have to swipe, which can get a bit annoying when you're driving. Same for the cruise control. When you want to adjust the speed, you have to swipe. And to change track, you have to have the album art on the screen, is when you can swipe to change songs. Otherwise, you can't change songs when you're driving from the steering wheel, which can get annoying. Again, this was there in the older Mercedes Benz, so if you're used to that, you'll feel at home. But the fact that there is no physical button, you have to swipe and touch, can get a bit annoying, especially when you're driving. And this is a bit of a slippery panel, so you might find yourself swiping a bit more for just a basic command. Otherwise, the dials itself are very clear, very clean. I love the looks. You can change the speedometer, a host of looks, so you can have a more minimal look, or you can have a sporty AMG dial as well. You do have the same wooden and leather on the doors, which look very good, and you have this nice Burmeister system. Not the best one I've heard. I still feel Volvo's Bauer Wilkins sounds a notch better than this, but this is not bad. Honestly, it feels very luxurious, very premium, and very comfortable to sit in, and that's what the whole ethos of the GLE has always been. I'm now in the rear of the GLE. As you can see, space is really not an issue. I believe that this is one of the spacious, if not the most spacious SUVs in its segment. Legroom is unmatched. Like, this seat is for my driving position, and taller drivers can easily sit and move the seat a bit more back, and I still would have so much room. There's so much space to tuck in your feet. Headroom is really not an issue. The backrest is at a perfect incline. Under thigh support is really good because they've chalked out a bit of a design element which actually helps with under thigh support. The third passenger is also pretty welcome because the mount isn't very tall, so they can actually put their feet. The armrest is actually a very perfect height. I believe, now I'm starting to believe that this vehicle is actually meant for sitting in the back seat. It's so comfortable, so nice. The windows are very big. You have the panoramic glass, so you have lots of light in, and especially with this optioned beige interior, it feels very airy, and it feels perfect to sit in for long journeys. One downside, there are no blinds. Maybe it's an option, but this car doesn't have it. But you have the lovely finish of the leather and the wood and the cutouts, the aluminum cutouts for the Burmeister system. It just looks very good. You do have nets as well to store some stuff. However, you do not have a screen or any sort of controls for controlling the temperature for the rear AC vents, which is a bit of a downer, to be honest. You do have heated seats, but you don't have temperature, so it's not a 4-zone climate control where you can control the temperature for the rear seats or the fan speed. That's a bit of a downer. You do have 2 Type-C ports, but that's kind of basic, and that's kind of become mandatory in the car market. Like, even base Civics have Type-C ports, so that's fine. But I wish that at this price point there would be a small screen to control temperature or fan speed for the rear. Barring that, it's actually a really good place to be, and one place I don't mind spending a lot of time in sitting at. Now behind the wheel of the 2024 Mercedes Benz GLE450e. So let's get the numbers out of the way. Since this is a plug-in hybrid, this has a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine mated to a 23 kilowatts battery. Combined power output is 380 or 381 horsepower. 0 to 100 is about 6 seconds. It's not the fastest segment because the X5 does have more power, but let's see how this SUV is. So if you move the, not even gear lever, I would say the handle, the indicate, the stock, gear stock, put it to drive, and we set off, and it starts off in the hybrid mode. But because I have 0 electricity on the battery, it kicks on into the petrol gas motor right away, and you'll instantly notice that this engine actually picks up really well. There is no turbo lag, so you never actually have to floor it in any way to get going. And because of the slight EV boost from the hybrid, it actually picks up really well, and in city speeds you hardly ever have to floor this car in any capacity. It just feels very easy to drive. The driving position is pretty commanding, so you sit pretty high up. You have the huge nice clear view of the bonnet, and overall it's just very easy, very comfortable, and that's what a Mercedes has always been, to be honest. So they've stuck true to the ethos of what the GLE has always been. It just feels very nice. The steering is nice to hold, the perfect thickness, the leather around feels very nice to hold as well, and overall it's just, again, as I said, very easy. That's the whole theme with this car. The overall handling is definitely, I would say, not sporty at all. In fact, I would say this SUV is the furthest away from being sporty. It's very comfortable, it's very relaxed, and that's also a type of cars that are available in the market. Not everything has to be the most sporty or the most aggressive driving car. People do like a very comfortable, soothing car. Like, I'm taking some speed breakers and you don't feel anything, because the combination of the suspension, the seats, everything, it just feels good. Even though this is running on 21-inch wheels and this does not have air suspension, it is an option, but it still rides really well. And overall, I have to say that I am pretty impressed by the dynamics. I have been driving this car on highways and everything. It just cruises so effortlessly. The brakes are also very nice, very good, and you do have regen braking, different modes of regen braking. So you can adjust the D-, D+. The D+ is the lower regen, D- is where you get higher regen. But yeah, overall it just feels very nice, very comfortable, very easy. And I do understand that there is an audience looking for just ease and comfort, and this GLE delivers that in bucket loads. The economy is hit or miss. On gas or on hybrid, it gives about 9 to 10 liters on the highway, and I've been getting about 11.5 in the city, which is not the greatest. Granted, I've not been able to use a lot of electricity because the range has been always on the lower side for me, so I need to do a test. But yeah, otherwise it's pretty comfortable, pretty nice, and I have to say that I do understand this SUV, and I do understand why it sells so much, because just the ease is pretty unmatched. In conclusion then, the 2024 Mercedes Benz GLE450e. Well, where do I start? Because it has a lot of things going for it. I think it looks reasonably good. It's extremely spacious, extremely comfortable. It's pretty practical as well. It's got all the basic kit you would need. However, if I were to buy this vehicle, I'd probably add a bit more essential kit like the adaptive cruise or the highway driving assist, which would bump up the price a bit more and much more closer to an equivalent X5, because this, as it stands, is at $102,000, which is significantly lower than an X5, but it does lack those essential features. Once you add it, it might become a bit closer to the X5, and if I were in the market to buy an SUV, I might go the way for the X5, because I do prefer a sporty drive. But I do understand why this SUV sells, because the comfortable quotient feature and an easy to live with ability that not all SUVs have, this does really well. And if you are in the market for something that's easy to live with, comfortable, then you can't go wrong with the 2024 Mercedes Benz GLE450e.